Righty. So while we are alive and waiting, for those who have just joined us, thank you for joining us today, guys. It's the Breaking Out of COVID Leadership Summit, hosted by Leadership Management International South Africa. And we've had some wonderful chats this morning, some wonderful success stories, and amazing speakers who have joined us all the way from a youth leadership practice program to change and the importance of change in the workplace. We've also had John Joubert from Coca-Cola Peninsula Beverages. And yeah, we've moving swiftly into, I think, Greg, if Greg is back.
Yeah.
Probably got about 1 more minute to go. We're moving into the ultimate life skills, or the ultimate life skill at least. And he's going to tell us what that is.
It's okay.
So it's an interesting conversation.
Can I just mention that I see a lot of messages coming through on my phone with people having load shedding and having to drop off. And we are recording the session. We will be sending it out eventually in bits. We'll cut it into speaker sizes and then we'll send it out. So if you are missing out, don't fret. We will actually send it out eventually. But you're welcome to join us anytime again. If you drop off, you can just dial in again and we'll let you back in at any given time. So don't worry too much.
Yeah, and then just to sort of preface what's happening in the next couple of 2 hours around is Team as an Engine of Achievement, where I'll be speaking to the wonderful managing director from KLA. We've got Mavis Ureka speaking about successful women in leadership. And then we have Lana Potgieter telling us and chatting to one of her recent clients, developing exco to lead. And then lastly, we're going to end it off with Anya van Beek, and connecting the dots to developing a developmental psychology and the LMI. So looking forward to the rest of today's session. Greg, are you with us? Are you back?
I am with you.
Let's go.
Fantastic. Guys, so we're going to kick it off. Greg, I don't know, should I introduce you again? I think they know you by now.
I'll introduce myself.
Thank you. Greg Walpole.
So let me start off by saying, why have I got this interest in selling and the ability to sell? I think it's because when I came into this organization, I'd been a group managing director, 7 small companies, and all I really knew about sales teams was how to run them. I'd never actually been out in the field and had the experience myself. And it became quite clear to me that in the South African context, selling as a profession isn't really a profession. And I always think about, if you went to see a professional, a lawyer, he'd probably have a library of stuff about lawyering. And if I went to see a physician, he'd have a library of stuff about physicianing. Whenever I chatted to a salesperson and asked them what was in their sales library, they would say nothing. And that always left me sort of guessing as to, well, how did they become a professional salesperson? And the truth is, most people enter the sales careers almost in a default way. It's not something they decide to do at varsity. It's not something they decide to do at matric. It's something that happens to them in their lives. They get involved in sales, and some of them progress very, very well, and many fail. So at that time, I said about teaching myself, no, that's not true. I was struggling a bit with my sales, and my wife went down to the library one weekend because she was very, very concerned about where I was going with my future career. And she got every single book she could get from the librarian over the weekend and put them down in front of me on the dining room table and said, I think you better read these books. And that was the beginning. That's when it started. I started to get a serious interest in the profession of selling. And then I realized it's actually a life skill. And it is probably the primary, most important life skill at all, is to be able to sell. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have to sell. If you're the leader of a startup, you're going to have to sell. If you run a business, sales will become the revenue driver of that business. And without revenue, you don't have a business. So yeah, it's a life skill. And today, to discuss that subject, I brought a few people along with me. So I'm going to introduce them all, if that's okay. So I'm going to firstly introduce Carl Lane, who is sales director of a manufacturing company called Colcab. Hello, Carl.
Hello, Greg. How are you?
Good to have online. I'm going to bring in a few other people now. I'm going to bring in Werner Stipp, who is the dealer principal in Pardon Island of Motors Ford. Werner, good morning.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, good. Good to have online. Then I'm also going to introduce from Accident Angels, Trevor Case. Hello, Trevor. We just got to unmute you, Trevor. You're muted, Trevor.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Ah, there we go. Okay, super.
You're probably wondering why I chose you guys. Well, I chose you because you're actually all in professional sales, but you're all in different industries with different sales challenges and different teams to work with. So I'm going to start off by asking Carl a first question. Carl, when you have a sales executive in your team, how high are your expectations for that person?
Greg, immensely high. Not only do my guys or ladies have to have the experience of Sales 101, which is rapid response, professionalism, product knowledge, accurate quoting, closing deals. They also have to have in-depth knowledge of the market, opposition, what's happening in the area with regards to trends, pricing, where growth is coming from, what the customer requirements are, bringing it back to the factory, so that a new product or a different product can be launched or developed. They need to be extremely passionate. And they also need to set their own goals and strategies to achieve their allotted sales budgets, Greg. I always call it a business within a business. They get a budget and they've got to manage that budget. And my motto is face-to-face wins the race.
Okay,
so high expectation, Greg.
Okay, thank you. So we'll come back to you just now, Carl. I just wanted to say hello to Werner. Werner, greetings.
Hi, Greg.
When you and I first met, we spoke about the importance of self-image for salespeople. I'd like to elaborate on that and why is that so important?
Greg, first of all, I think you're one of the most persistent salespeople I've ever come across. Back in 2019, all the way to late 2020 for us to do the LMI Grandmasters of Success course. Look, the self-image, I think, is important because it speaks to the whole environment that the customer walks into your business. If the self-image is not there, if the confidence isn't there, and it's not the salesperson's purpose in life to do what he's doing, it's simply not going to happen.
Okay, thanks for that. And also on with us today is Trevor Case from Accident Angel. Trevor, you've been developing your salespeople for a while, a long time. What are your expectations and differences do you note when you actually get them through a sales program?
I think the challenge we have is a lot of the sales guys who sort of end up in selling. It's almost like a last chance saloon, and more often than not, we all know the great salespeople don't require a basic salary, but what we found is outside of product knowledge, which very often when I'm in the market and I ask somebody, have they been on a sales course? They always refer to a product knowledge course. And I'm like, there's a substantial difference between understanding buying behavior, how to close a customer, how to open a customer, how to manage a lead, is the lead warm or not, how to overcome objections. And a lot of the individuals who have passed through our sort of environment or training program come in quite naive, thinking that you just need to have a gift of the gab and a little bit of cocksure confidence. And slowly but surely they realize that that's actually not a key ingredient. I think the key ingredient is to understanding that they're a professional. And if you want to get paid like a doctor or better than a doctor, you should really apply yourself in the skill of selling. And yeah, the results have been great, I agree. Fantastic.
Okay, fantastic. And back to Carl. Carl?
Yes, Greg.
You recently taken people through 2 stages of development. We do Sales 101 and then we do productivity and consultancy selling.
Yes.
And the impact?
A huge impact, Greg. It always is a big impact. You see a remarkable difference in attitude, remarkable difference in how sales guys approach their work. Organizational skills go to a next level. So all round major impact. They definitely take themselves to a different level and understand their role a hell of a lot better. And I think the most important aspect of that is goal setting, and the way that these chaps now understand that if you haven't got goals, you're like a ship without a rudder.
Okay, and tell me about the energy goals that we speak about when we're working with your team. How does energy impact in the sales equation?
Well, energy is motivation, isn't it? It drives them to be out in the marketplace. It drives them to earn more money. They then understand why it is so important to be available 24 hours a day for the customers, to quote accurately, and be self-motivated, have a vision, be creative. That's all energy.
Okay, so
it's a high level life skill.
Okay, so high level of energy. Thanks, Carl. Werner, in your situation, what's the energy issue? How does energy impact on the outcomes?
Energy is very, very important. But I think the energy has also got to do with a balanced approach to life. I mean, the guy's personal life and his personal goals and his personal energy goals, as you would call them, makes him a better all-rounder and makes the environment better, because it's going to create this happy space. So, if his energy goal is cycling on the weekends and he's set his goals to do some sort of race or whatever, that contributes greatly to his everyday feel at work. And whether he is driven to earn the money to buy that next bicycle, or whatever it might be. So it always goes hand in hand.
Okay, and Trevor,
sorry, Greg, isn't
this energy thing, is it soft washy stuff, or is it critical?
No, it's wish-wash. I'm kidding.
Thanks, Trevor.
No. I think it was one of the very first courses I went on with you. Knowledge, belief, and enthusiasm are the three things that I always remember out of the Paul J. Meyer. I think it was Dynamics of Personal Goal Setting. Yeah. And I think at the pinnacle of that is enthusiasm, and it's quite easy. I mean, you can tell quite easily when someone's talking to you on the telephone, whether they are smiling or whether they aren't, or whether they're in a bad mood or not. And I think great salespeople over time work out that they are sort of aggregators of energy. So if they are transferring an energy of excitement, passion, desire, enthusiasm, it's very transferable onto the prospective customer. It's no different to a child wanting to go and play with a friend or get himself a new toy. They are really excited to and persistent at trying to get mom or dad to sort of buy into it. So without a doubt, it's the transfer of energy is key critical to successful selling.
So isn't the sale itself an energy exchange?
It's all it is.
Okay,
that's all it is.
So what happens if we've got salespeople who haven't got any energy to exchange? We won't have any sales. That doesn't seem to make sense, but it's true. So one of the things that you do as sales leaders is support the process. So Carl, you're supporting the process. Tell us how. What's happening there in terms of supporting them as they grow as sales professionals?
Well, Greg, we have our weekly sales meetings. Everybody feeds back to what they've done. We measure figures. We measure experiences. We measure what sales have come in for the week, and they often feed off each other. and feed off each other's energy, and sometimes a little bit of a race. So I create an environment whereby, I'm just trying to find the right word, where there's a little bit of a competition. We all have a WhatsApp group called On My Case, excuse the pun, where some serious stuff is shared, where some jokes are shared, and it's about constant communication. And I promote it between our sales guys as well. So we've got different levels. We've got guys that are national key account chaps or ladies, and then we've got people that are slightly junior. And I always like them to consult with each other, especially the juniors to the seniors, to get a little bit more energy and product knowledge and so forth into my sales department.
Okay, great. And Bernard, you've had some good results from the
Yeah,
development of
I was just thinking about it now. You know, when we came out of hard lockdown, it was very difficult to restart everything because of all the uncertainty and negativity in the air. And I set off to, while the rest of the world is still trying to create herd immunity, I want to create herd positivity in my business. And your course definitely helped. I mean, take the rest of the guys through it. I mean, we started with the management team, and we put them on grandmasters, myself included. And then after that, we did one of the sales courses for the sales frontline guys. And then after that, we picked the top salespeople and we put them through grandmasters as well. So the positivity in the air is completely different to what it was a year ago. And it shows in all the results, all the numbers, whether it's customer satisfaction results in the workshop, in the sales environment, whether it's sales results, whether it's gross profits, everything it's better than it was in 2019. That's where we are.
Okay, and you took an unusual step of doing it yourself. Why?
Well, if I have to lead by example, I mean, I can't expect the works to do something if I'm not prepared to do it. That's always just the way I've always done things. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of sales, well, you're a dealer principal, so you're sitting really there running the whole dealership. A lot of dealer principals might say, well, I'm not the one who needs to learn, teach those guys.
No, but we're teaching them all the time. You know, you've got to coach them. I don't know it all, so I need to go and find new information. I need to grow myself as well. I mean, I'm very young still, yeah, as you can see. So, you know, I've got a lot to learn. And the interesting thing about doing the Grandmasters courses, I mean, my favorite time for listening to the program was in the mornings on the way to work. And as a result of lockdown and COVID, I started taking my oldest daughter to school in the morning. So by default, my 15-year-old was doing the course with me. And she would make comments and she would get excited and go home and tell her friends and tell her mother and all that sort of thing. So, and it's a file that's on the desk. And she said to me the other day, I think we need to start doing the course again, you know? So it's really powerful stuff, and it really hits one very, very deep.
Yeah, so you know, you really are the same as some of clients I've dealt with. I think I mentioned that I've worked with about 3,000 people. There are a couple of notable ones. Is that people who were listening to their tapes on their way to school, and they realized about 2 months, 3 months after starting that their children were getting better results. And they hadn't made the connection that these guys were also listening to I think in those days it was the cassette tapes. So the kids were listening to the cassette tapes. One of the funniest ones I had was a couple were working with me, and then one Sunday they decided to sleep in, and they had a habit of listening in the lounge. And then they woke up one morning and they had their 2 4 or 5-year-olds bouncing on the bed saying, "Hey, has the sleeping giant awoken yet?" So these things do have impact beyond ourselves and doing it ourselves. Trevor, you've had people working through this process now you've got a couple of them who have been through 2 or 3 programs in sales. How's it working out? Is this not an overinvestment?
I don't think you can overinvest in training. I just and it's I think you said it in one of our sessions, is teams are never built, you're always building them. And the only challenge I find is the amount of capital that individuals are willing to spend on themselves is quite frustrating. And I mean,
Are we listening to you, Trevor?
Oh, it's frozen, Greg.
Load shedding, load shedding.
We'll pick up. Maybe Trevor's in a load shedding area.
No,
Okay.
I'm back on. Can you hear me now? You got me, Greg?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So what ended up happening is a lot of the guys that we invest in slowly and surely, like, sort of start to believe that they've got permission to invest in themselves. Is if somebody's willing to invest in me, then maybe I should invest in myself. You know, you don't always get it right, but more often than not, if you're leading from example, you know, no different to what Vanna said is, I mean, I have no expectation on a such staff member to do something that I wouldn't be willing to do. And they sort of buy into the fact that I've invested in them. And they do put their heart and soul into it. It's like anything, spaced repetition, the mother of all skill. You know, a lot of the times the refresher course is very enlightening. And I see the same thing happen with every single staff member who goes through the courses. When they're doing the course or the program, their self-image expands rapidly. They almost give themselves license to be creative, to get up and go, to make that phone call they didn't want to make, to close that sale they didn't think they could close. So yeah, I mean, the exponential spin-offs is huge, man.
Okay. Werner, you did something unusual there. I didn't pick up on it earlier. On your third tranche of training, you took your stronger salespeople.
Yes.
Most people would work with the weaker ones. Why did you go that route?
Yeah, look, I mean, if you can take the top guy and make sure that this is his happy space and he doesn't want to go anywhere, number one, and number two, if you can get him to perform even a little bit better than he's already doing, then you'll grow your business even further. It's our story. I mean, if you want something done, you give it to the busiest person because they're going to do it. So if you want to make sure that a customer is handled properly, you're going to give it to your best sales guy, not to the one who actually needs the sale. You give it to the one who doesn't need the sale because that's just what he does, you know. So to me, you take the top guys and you develop them more so that they can get even better. And I must be honest with you, at the moment, we're finding that our guys are being approached by the dealerships. And luckily, they're saying no. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's interesting. Carl, you've got people in your team that they're long-standing.
Yes. Yeah. Dane, Moritz, Timothy, been around for a while, and they love the brand, they love the company, they love what they do, they're passionate, and yeah, it'll be very difficult for them to go elsewhere.
Okay, so let's just go back to Werner's comment about him being the youngest one here. I think that's what he said. So, Carl, when you talk about your old dogs, can you teach them new tricks?
Of course you can.
Did that work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm quickly just going to ask.
You've got to change their mindsets a little bit sometimes. They do get trapped in a rut, but and they believe that they are at the level where they don't have to experience anything else. And you know, just by putting them on some of the courses that we've done recently, you completely change the way they look at themselves and the environment around them. And suddenly they realize that they can actually do more and make more money. And creates a little bit of a different vision.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly ask if there are any, if Kevin, one of the hosts is there, or Naomi, if there are any questions that we should be, there, can we just go back to that young man by the Ford? Who's that? There he is.
Greg, we've got a few minutes left. One of the questions that we have here is, what percentage of your sales team did you invest in? And I think that sort of applies to everyone.
So let's give that to Carl to start with.
I've invested in every single one of my sales team, from the most senior to the most junior. as well as my sales lady that handles all the, we call it the hub, and they handle all the administration, quoting, and spec sheets and so forth. So to answer your question, everybody, and I will do it every single year. I'll pick certain people to go on certain courses.
And the same question to Werner, what percentage of your team?
Yeah, the answer is pretty much the same. We get, I almost want to say, bombarded with training from Ford South Africa, whether it's technical or sales or soft skills or whatever. There's a required minimum that everybody has to do, whether they like it or not. And we try and choose the courses to fit with what the need is. But in terms of what LMI has to offer, we, as I said, we put the management team through the Grandmasters, and then we had all the salespeople on the sales training, and then half the salespeople on the Grandmasters again. And there might be one or two individuals that we haven't covered that I still think we can invest in as well.
Fantastic, thank you. And Trevor, the same for you?
Like Werner, sorry, I'm just coming up. I put myself on a course as well with Greg this year too, just to also keep up to speed.
Thanks, Carl. Trevor?
Yeah, there's not a staff member in our office who hasn't been through an LMI program. It's sort of a stock standard, and I'm not overly concerned about our team members moving on. I think from a greater good perspective, I think as leaders in a community, you want to have people leave your space better than when they arrived. And if somebody arrives in another company and that they've had access to the sales training and or any other LMI course that's available, is they're just better human beings. They're just way better. I mean, I would overinvest. I mean, I just, if I can, I just want to drop a little note. I'm a massive purchaser of books, and I was in exclusive books the other day, and I said to the guy behind the counter, I make all my staff read books. He said, why is that? I said, because they become better human beings. So he said, how much money do you spend on books? So the other guy standing next to him said, a fortune. I see this guy all the time. And I was trying to explain to them, I said, I don't think it's a fortune. I think it's a small investment. Because if you just, I mean, to the listeners out there, if you've got one small idea that you pick up out of any course, any book, or any program, one idea can make you millions and millions of rands, not just for yourself, but for your company. And the spin-off effects are great. But if you don't read the book or you don't engage in the course, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Thanks.